long day.
Excuse me, but are you Mr. Capello? My name is Sherlock Holmes. I'm hoping you could spare a moment to talk.
Manners, what a pleasant surprise. Most of your colleagues have lacked even the simplest of common courtesies.
You're a suspect, sir, but not yet a criminal. I shan't treat you as such. Your case is refreshingly unusual, and I wish to get to the bottom of it.
Manners and enthusiasm. Huh. May you go far, young man. What can I help you with?
You are surprisingly composed for a man accused of murder. Not so easily shaken, I take it.
Life is full of surprises. You'd be astonished how many deals go sour due to a force majeure. One becomes skilled at adapting. I am confident this will all be set straight. Until then, I will endure.
And yet your fist tells a different story. It seems you recently found yourself in a fight.
A fight? I'm afraid not, young man. It was a minor mishap, with none such adventure. To succeed in life, you don't need to fight. One must simply be smart and persistent. I'm speaking from experience.
Please, tell me how you ended up in this situation.
Well, this morning some clients arrived to finalize their purchase of a Capello modular safe. But when we opened the door, out tumbled a dead man.
And I take it this wasn't normal?
No, I normally keep my corpses in the wardrobe. Please, young man, spare me your wit. The rest of the day was a blur. I recognized the victim, and it seems so did the police. That was enough to make me the main suspect.
Who sent for the authorities?
No one. As it happens, we had a break-in last night. Nothing was stolen, but for insurance purposes, the report had to be made. So, police officers just happened to be on the premises when we discovered the body in the safe.
You mentioned you were showing your wares to some prospective buyers when the safe was opened. Who were they?
Clerks from the bank. They inspected the safe from top to bottom yesterday. I assumed the sale was just a formality at that point.
And the safe was closed?
It's usually open, but it locks automatically when the door swings closed. That's another marvelous Coppello invention.
A coffin that locks itself. Marvellous indeed. Help me grasp your movements yesterday. What time did you meet the customers from the bank, and did you have any other appointments?
Yesterday, the bank clerks arrived at 10 a.m. Afterwards, I was alone in the office until my wife Augusta came in at 3 p.m. I left for home at 6:30 p.m.
And what about this morning?
Our meeting for the demonstration was set for 9 a.m. I arrived about half an hour prior in order to prepare.
I have one final inquiry. Do you recall the time at which the safe door was closed?
Young man, I may just as well ask you when you closed your cigar case. I have opened our safes 12 times a day for 12 years. I do not recall.
You say you became the suspect when the police identified the victim. Is there history between you?
Surely you jest. That man and I have never met, and never would, unless he became the first deity in history to use our products.
Some sort of family feud? I'm afraid I'm not familiar.
You must be new to Cordona. It's an old tale. Back in Italy, generations ago, the deities tried to ruin our family business. They nearly succeeded. The Coppellos rightfully struck back, but there has been bad blood ever since.
And does that blood flow in you too?
I told you, sir, it's an old story, or it was. I fear this horrible event portends worse to come. My wife may be in danger as we speak.
I'd like to inquire about the burglary.
I'm not sure I see the connection, but if you wish to know more, talk to Billy Lloyd, the night watchman. He scared off the thief.
Was it also Billy that discovered the burglar?
No, my wife did. She had stayed late yesterday. Poor Augusta. At least she's safer with the police than at home alone.
Well, Mr. Coppello, I think that's all I need from you at present. Where can I find your office?
Here, take my card. Billy should be on site to assist with the investigation. And please, sir, would you check on my wife before you depart?
Thank you. I will endeavour to speak with her before I leave the station.
Please, treat her gently. Women lack our resilience when it comes to ordeals like this. I shall eagerly await your return. After all, there's little else I can do.
Mrs. Coppello, please wait in the office. The inspector will be here soon.
You must be the inspector.
Would you be Augusta Coppello?
Must I really repeat myself to every baby-faced man in uniform that strides in?
Forgive me, I am not the inspector, but I am working on your husband's case.
Then I have nothing to say to you. Come back with the inspector in charge so that we may dispense with the endless repetition.
Whilst I prefer German composers, the harp solo from Lucia di Lammermoor stands out as one of Donizetti's finest contributions to the form. I'm sure Basilio thought the same.
He did. How? Did he tell you how we met?
Oh, there was no need. It is trivial to observe how much you value your memories of playing harp in the orchestra, and even an amateur Italian harpist would be familiar with Donizetti's finest work.
Yes. Music is a balm in these uncertain times. It is nice to meet another who appreciates it.
Much as I appreciate the truth. Please, Mrs. Capello, let me help you and your husband.
I am not unappreciative, sir. But I'm afraid I presently lack the strength.
Basilio tells me you were present during the burglary yesterday. What can you tell me about it?
Oh, it gave me such a fright. I fainted, fell to the floor. I wish I could help you, but, I'm just utterly useless. Please, I want to rest before the inspector arrives.
Were you familiar with the deceased man found in the safe?
No, I did not know him, nor can I conceive of how the poor soul ended up there.
You've had quite the day, Mrs. Capello. I shall leave you be. If I have further questions, I may visit again later.
Hello there.
Ill-fitting pants, wonky nose, and hair that appears to have been cut by your own hand. You must be Billy Lloyd.
Oh, it's you! I knew you'd come.
You did?
You're Mirko Gallia, the best investigative journalist on Cordona. I'm a fan of your work.
Alas, you're mistaken. The name is Sherlock Holmes, and your employer...
Oh, of course. Discretion. I'm sorry. I doubt the policeman upstairs heard me, though, so your secret is safe with me, Sherlock.
Mr. Capello told me you were present during the burglary and scared the criminal off the property?
Hey, you should have seen it. As soon as the burglar saw me, they went white as death. Ran out the back door of the office. I heard a thud and cat shrieks, so I think they went over the railing and into the bushes out back. Clearly, my reputation precedes me. Mr. Capello was so proud.
You're a guard, but you didn't give chase.
Well, by the time I made it outside, they were miles away. So I went back to help Mrs. Capello. That kind of gentlemanly courtesy is why I'm so well regarded round these parts.
What did the thief look like?
Shorter than me, mid-20s, a huge scar across the right cheek going from the eye. Short hair. She didn't look like a ghost. Too corporeal.
Hold on. She? You didn't think to mention the burglar was a woman?
Why did you assume it was a man? It's the 19th century, sir. Ambitious young women are out there pursuing a career, and I, for one, encourage it.
Yes, yes, spare me the sermon. When did the burglary happen?
After 10 in the evening. I was just talking to Mrs. Capello.
Does she normally work this late?
No, it's the first time it happened. Usually I'm alone at night. I was explaining to Mrs. Capello how drinking water every 3 hours can help with digestion, when she excused herself and went back upstairs. Then there was a scream, and I ran up to the office, and...
I know what happened next, thank you. What about last evening? Do you have any more details about the break-in?
Of course. I write down everything that happens during my watch. Take a look.
Fastidious in its mundanity, but I will make of it what I can. I must go and inspect the crime scene. If I have further questions, Mr. Lloyd, I will find you.
Oh, don't worry. I won't be able to keep away.
Right.
They sell door locks, padlocks. No Sherlocks, though. Probably for the best. Imagine dealing with two of you. Ugh.
The best on the market. You can wallop them, you can burn them. Nothing will work.
I bet he tested that himself.
Strength, security, peace of mind. Tacky.
Well, you know, that's your opinion, good sir.
Oh, why do I get the worst jobs?
The bottle is half empty. A wine, well enjoyed. Recently used, but why would it be here?
Wouldn't want to be in his shoes. I'm a bit claustrophobic.
Bruises, torn nails, bleeding was severe and continued at length. Bulging veins, cyanosis, bloodshot eyes, odd foaming in the mouth. Clear indications of blunt trauma, possibly inflicted before the victim was in the safe. clothes are not fully buttoned, was the victim dressing or undressing? Blood on the safe door could have been left by the victim. What a rotten way to die.
Yeah, what a shame.
Concert programme from 7 years ago. An Augusta La Duca is listed as a harpist in the orchestra. 2 theatre tickets for Shakespeare's Othello. The performance is tomorrow.
Have to respect the classics.
Well-organised workplace?
Mr. Capello is the best.
Okay, this chap is seriously creepy. I swear I just saw a lion out there, on the railing. Don't forget about the cats in the bushes, Sherry.
The letter F is inscribed within a 4-leaf clover pattern. A comprehensive set of lockpicks, recently cleaned with no fresh scratches. Casse-muraille. Walk through walls in French. Our thief seems rather arrogant.
Don't forget about the cats in the bushes, Sherry. Don't forget about the cats in the bushes, Sherry.
Oh, why do I get the worst jobs?
Actually, no.
Do you know anything about these entries?
No. But Mr. Capello is so well organised. I use a different method. Very popular among the Buddhist monks. You create an attic in your mind and...
I'm familiar. Keep it tidy, put only necessary information in, remove unnecessary information regularly.
What? No, it's called an attic. You just stuff it with everything. You never know what might prove helpful someday.
That is profoundly upsetting.
Actually, no.
Do you know whose keys these are?
Probably Mr. Capello's. Police took him so suddenly. I have the same set, but it's more efficient. Has fewer keys.
So you don't have access to the entire office?
No. Only Mr. and Mrs. Capello have the key to the back door.
Do you know what this note might be about?
I cannot presume to know another's mind, of course, but... I think Mr. and Mrs. Capello have been having some familial difficulties. Probably due to their lack of children. One of my oldest friends helps couples with their relationship troubles, and he always says...
You don't have to continue.
Oh, well, he says that to me as well, but I'm perfectly happy to.
No, I insist. Do you know anything else about the dead body in the safe?
Well, there is the rule of threes. You can survive 3 weeks without food, 3 days without water, 3 hours in harsh weather, and 3 minutes...
Of you talking?
Without air. I'm sorry, did you say something?
No, very enlightening, Mr. Lloyd, thank you.
I know of it, but... forgot.
Is this code memo still valid?
Oh, yes. It's the same combination code everywhere. It corresponds to Mrs. Capello's birthday, actually. In fact, during this year's celebration, I was allowed a sip of champagne. That's when I had to dry my trousers, and then I had to...
Okay, thank you, Billy.
I don't know.
Have you noticed anything different about Mrs. Capello recently?
Not really. She talks to me more when I start my shift. Probably because of the 100 Best Curry Recipes book I'm reading. Oh, and we've been running out of paper a lot lately, so she often sends me out to buy more for her. She's very particular about the paper we use. Only one store on the island stocks it, and it's on the other side of the town. But I'm really fast.
Interesting, thank you.
I don't know.
What can you tell me about Mr. Capello?
He's a good employer, but very focused on work, and very serious about security, of course, since he employed a night watch of my caliber. Not everyone appreciates his strict business approach, though. Store clerks don't seem to last long in the office.
Good to know.
I'm going to catch the criminal myself, but later.
Maybe it would be wise to take a look around outside before we enter. Just a thought.
Extra! Headless eels floundering. Friedrich Panzer, the head of the eels gang, has been arrested alongside the gold, ready to be smuggled. The cheapest news on the island. Is that all? Extra! Beloved... Bibliophile bid adieu. The police are investigating the dreadful death of Angelo Dondolo.
Greeting.
Extra! Turn in a blind eye. A blind jewel takes another victim. The murderer of one Stout remains at liberty. Extra! The strike of the Eagle. Authorities are barely containing the unrest after the murder of Mark Ridley by the House of the Eagle.
Other gangs are planning an attack on the...
The worst clothes at the best price. Step right up. I hope you'll be comfortable in it. Oh, clothes will be worn well, take my word. The worst clothes at the best price.
Despite being used, these goods are still fine. Take a look. One man's trash is another man's furniture. One man's trash is another man's furniture.
Hello, mister. I've got some information for you. Heard you were asking.
Have you now? Well, let's hear it.
So the bandits, right?
Not coming. Bigger fish to fry, they say. Bigger worries.
Interesting. Are you absolutely sure?
Heard it with my own ears. Lord is my witness.
Oh, good. Here you go. Buy yourself something nice. Might I suggest soap?
Oh, thank you, mister. Thank you.
What a simpleton.
Supposed to be Philip from London. Good impression.
One man's trash is another man's furniture.
Our clothes will be worn well, take my word.
Selam.
No, you killed it.
I will end you. I couldn't miss the party. I'm coming for you. I couldn't miss the party. Put you 6 feet under.
No more crime for you until next month. Don't bother moving.
Time to knock this guy out. The snuff's ready.
I'm coming.
Don't cry, you'll live.
Give him the pepper snuff.
I couldn't miss the party.
Too simple.
The snuff's ready.
Dodge this!
You can overcome the brute now.
Don't bother.
Give him the pepper snuff. Hey, you could have kept him alive. It's all yours now. Go for it. Ow!
Too simple.
The snuff's ready.
Okay, I give up.
And here we are, Miss Sevigny. A place where we can talk about all your recent activities. We have a nice profile on you, you know.
What are you talking about? I didn't do anything.
Is there nothing you didn't do, Miss Sevigny? Thieve for the gang, break into the Armor Capello office, kill Niccolo Detti?
What? Kill? I didn't kill nobody. No, How?
So you admit the rest. I suppose you won't mind explaining some things to me then. You were in the Armor Capello office yesterday evening, Miss Sevigny. The same place that Niccolo Detti was found dead today. What happened?
How would you know? You can't prove anything?
It's written all over you, Miss Sevigny. I presume you did not intend your evening to end with a fall over the railing and a fracas with felines. Need I continue?
Zut alors! It was just a job, nothing else. I was asked to come. Here, see for yourself. I don't know who hired me, but I think they wanted to pin the crime on me. Poor Niccolo.
When were you offered this job?
Ah, mon Dieu. I don't remember precisely. I think the letter arrived around 9:30 in the evening. It sounded tricky, but the money was good.
And you arrived at the office?
Perhaps 45 minutes later. I am very good, sir. I was in and out in 5 minutes.
I don't like lies.
No, wait. Okay. It took 15 minutes. All right? Still impressive, no?
You knew Mr. Detti, how?
Niccolo and I grew up together. I hadn't seen him in years, then ran into him on the street, smiling with some lovely lady on his arm.
And that was the last time you saw him alive?
Well, until I found him dead yesterday. That same woman was there, too. It can't be coincidence.
You saw a woman in the office?
Mm-hmm. She started screaming, so I slammed the safe door and ran when I saw a guard coming.
Your thieving days may well be over, Miss Sevigny. Until this matter is resolved, you will remain here. Good day.
What a long day.
Another question? Another question?
Mr. Capello, have you anything to say about the burglar's claims?
Not a whit. The woman is a liar and a criminal. I don't give it the slightest credence, and neither should you. Another question?
How long have you known your wife, Mr. Capello?
How is that relevant, young man?
Please, I need a complete picture of all the parties involved. Consider, perhaps, the possibility that the burglar was targeting your wife.
It seems unlikely, though if a Detti was out to threaten my wife... We met 7 years ago. Augusta was a harpist with an Italian orchestra. The passion in her eyes back then. I am glad she still has some of it now.
And you and your wife get along well?
I love her most dearly, and I know Augusta loves me. I fear someday she may be bored at work, but I try to give her all she wants. Another question? I'm afraid I have nothing to add to this. I'm afraid I have nothing to add to this.
I'm interested in some entries in your diary that may prove important. Could you elaborate on these ones here?
Bene. I won't name the detective, but rest assured that is unrelated to the investigation. It is just one of our clients. And those safe entries are about an interested party who was going to purchase the product. We met yesterday, and today we're to finalize the transaction. Alas, that opportunity is no more.
You've been a good help. Is this note still valid?
Oh yes, we use this code by default for each safe. Now sometimes a buyer may ask to see how it can be changed, but I always reset it afterwards.
And the safe containing the body used the default code, I presume?
As it happens, no. In my demonstration, I wanted to show the bank clerks how easy it was to set a different combination.
Interesting. Thank you.
Not much to say. I'm sorry. Not much to say. I'm sorry. Another question? Another question?
What was your intent behind this note?
This is private, young man, and hardly relevant.
Its relevance, as it were, remains to be seen.
My wife Augusta joined me in business half a year ago, but works late hours. I worry because I love her. What else do you need to know?
I appreciate your candor.
Have you learned anything?
What exactly was your relationship with Niccolo Detti?
Who? What are you talking about?
Madam, please, a young woman dedicated to her music and an enthusiastic artist. Your marriage to Basilio could not have offered all you needed. And then about 6 months ago, you met Niccolo Detti. There was a spark, you started to see each other. It brought passion back into your life.
How could you...
But your tryst didn't go unnoticed. Felicia Sevigny spotted you with Niccolo, but rather than cease your affair, you took care to avoid the public eye. You started working with your husband at the office and met your lover there in the evening after Basilio departed. Billy would not notice, and you hoped neither would your husband. Do I have this right so far?
Yes. I love Basilio, I truly do. But his first passion is his work. I respect that, but it left me... adrift. Niccolo. Oh, sweet Niccolo. He was the man I needed. If he had had any other name, I would have talked to Basilio. But he was a Detti.
And your husband suspected something?
I think he did. He asked questions. Billy's schedule was moved forwards here. Yes, he suspected.
And thus we arrive at the heart of the matter. How did Mr. Detti end up deceased in the safe?
I do not know.
Madam?
I don't know anything about his death.
Are you sure this is how you wish to proceed?
It is the truth. Please, just leave me be.
It is a shame it has come to this, but it is patently obvious that you are responsible for Niccolo Detti's death.
How dare you? I wouldn't want him to.
I see you need some persuasion. I know that Niccolo Detti went to the office to meet you. It was a midnight tryst. Niccolo would visit the office once Basilio left, but this time he returned. So you hid Niccolo in the safe. A foolish move.
I didn't know the code had changed. It was the only choice. I couldn't let him be found. I loved him.
Really? You could have saved his life by simply speaking with your husband, but you sought to free him another way. To free Mr. Detti, you hired Felicia Sevigny, a petty burglar, to crack the safe. And as a result, you killed your love.
No. It's because the combination had changed. It is not my fault.
You are splitting hairs, Mrs. Capello. The fact remains you chose to risk Niccolo's life rather than call your husband. And I know why. You were afraid how it would affect the reputation of the Capellos, and you feared what your husband would do as a consequence.
He's a good man, but he cares about his business, about the family. It would have destroyed him.
And now he's accused of murder, Mrs. Capello. How considerate of you.
Mio Dio, how did this all happen?
Mrs. Capello, there is a way out of this mess. When the inspector arrives, tell him very little, insist you were with your husband and that he is in. But afterwards, you must tell Basilio about Niccolo. You wronged your husband. He deserves the truth.
Perhaps. Yes, I believe you are right. Please give me some time to prepare myself. And thank you.
Goodbye, madam.
I'm behind you with this one. Some people deserve a second chance. Come on, Sherry. Say, I am the law.
Welcome, sir. I do hope you enjoy yourself. Welcome, sir. I do hope you enjoy yourself.
I think we deserve a rest.
Enjoy the evening, sir. There is still plenty of time before the grand finale. All right.
What if I write an article about these people here? Can you help me gather information about Cordona's elite?
Manchos had to enforce them. Manchos had to enforce the masks.
That's what I like about this party. Bring me more dirt, Sherry. One more piece, and I can expose these base hedonists. You should sit next to me and wait to be served.
Ogle's gallery has a backer, I see.
Do you know what was here before Manchiosa's family bought it? Do you know what was here?
I'll pin them down, Biscoop. Thank you, Sherlock.
Hey, Anson, I see that look in your eyes.
I'm so excited about the...
You have such pretty hair.
My goodness, Sherlock. They made a blood fountain.
No, John, it's definitely not blood, just wine. Gahor, is it a guess?
The wine vapours from here will be enough to get me tipsy. I hope.
Let me see that stallion up close. Want to go somewhere more private?
Do not distract me. It's not easy to play blindfolded.
I'm so excited about the event.
Enjoy the event, sir.
Look, I'm an outlaw.
Let me know if you need anything, sir.
Sherlock! Friend! I wasn't sure you'd come.
Werner, I see you are not yourself.
The more time you spend here in Cordona, the more I feel it my duty to bring you into our world and show you all we have to offer.
And what is on offer today?
Pleasure, indulgence, relief, and relaxation. You've earned some time for yourself, have you not?
Those who know me would say I'm incapable of it.
Nonsense. I refuse to believe there is anyone permitted to know Sherlock Holmes.
Huh. You may be right.
Then free yourself from inhibition and expectation. The night is young, and so are the guests. You should try to enjoy both. It's not healthy for handsome men to spend every night alone, and certainly not in a house filled with such melancholic memories.
I must admit, my travels have proven more taxing than expected. I'm less confident in my life and myself. A time of relaxation seems a distant dream.
So can I tempt you with a physical aid to your moral consolations? There's wine, of course, something to smoke, or perhaps an artificial paradise? Yes, something more spiritual. a potentiator to sharpen the mind. A 7% solution of, well, that'd be telling, but you must try it.
My mind already operates at a far higher level than most. I struggle to believe anything could improve it. My ultimate duty is to provide the world with truth, and I do that perfectly well as is.
Duty? You've never cared about that before.
Of course I do. Exposing a lie, revealing a fact, that is a moral responsibility.
That's not morality. Morals are what happens afterwards when truth collides with consequence. Do you ever follow up on cases you solved? Do you ever see what happened next, visit the victims, ensure justice is served in the courts? And how do you choose where to direct your attention? Are there not deserving causes to which your brilliance could be applied but isn't?
You ascribe me more power than I possess. I have a narrow skill set and work within that mandate. What occurs afterward is irrelevant.
With every action or inaction, you place a finger on the scales of morality. Many in the city would see you as abdicating your responsibility.
I haven't.
Not me, of course. Morality is subjective, just like truth. There is little to be gained from indulging in it, and far better things to indulge in. Now I must insist on easing any burdens I've placed upon your shoulders. Show yourself a kindness, and try this rather delectable concoction.
If this solution truly does assist with thinking, then well, perhaps it would be puerile to overlook an opportunity to study it. I'll take it with me.
Yes, Sherlock. Very good. And now, our evening begins in earnest. I just remembered. I'm sorry, Sherlock. My mind's delightfully impaired. Please take this key. It opens the altar room, past the library.
Pardon? Altar room? What now, Werner?
Go quickly and find our Fabio. Only you can make him talk. I'll join you in a minute. Let Fabio speak for himself.
Codex Orchis. Why does this occult book sound like a flower? Romantic poetry and prose. Someone's in touch with their feelings. These medieval botany and chemistry books look even more satanic than the occult ones.
My God. Was he here this whole time?
This crude tattoo partially covers as slave branding. The dagger is heavy and sharp, but lacks balance. This golden handle has a bloodstain on it. The wound is deep. A precise strike reached the heart. This worm-like sigil has been drawn with his own blood. A blunt force trauma may have suffered an internal hemorrhage. The victim has clenched the fabric so firmly in his fist that it's nigh impossible to remove it. He died right here. The sign reminds me of the astrological symbol for Mars. This one looks like a twisted symbol of Venus, drawn in a hurry.
Oh, these crime scenes always outdo my imagination.
This oil has a slight aroma of flowers and olive. The ointment smells mouse-like. I presume it is an aphrodisiac prepared from a Spanish fly. This elaborate box must be for the ritual dagger. The herbs here are Salvia divinorum. They have a slight hallucinogenic effect to emphasize the ceremony.
What about a quick pillow fight?
Enough cigars to burn down the entire mansion. An open wound spoiled the carpet. Blood. A sturdy bottle met a not-so-sturdy human. It didn't break only because it was unopened. Why don't people tidy up after themselves? The wounded person was here for some time. A bloody handprint on an armchair. A person leaned against the doorframe. They left a smudged trail of blood. There appear to be no further traces leading to the altar. Handcrafted and luxurious cufflinks. There's also a note. For my Fabio, Manchos. The key is similar to the one that Vogel gave me. The capital F on the key fob might refer to Fabio.
Would you recognise me in one of these? I suppose not.
Props, decorations, and tools for a more detailed set. Identical to the robes the guests are wearing. The pitcher is empty, but with puddles around it. Blood clots are adhered to the sides of the drain. Props, decorations, and tools for a more detailed set. Similar to the guests' robes, apart from the bloodstains. This is a different ritual.
How can anyone accept such behaviour?
A useful tool for a disguise arsenal. Props, decorations, and tools for a more detailed set. Werner, care to explain what is going on here?
On nights like these, it's not unusual for some attendees to get a little exuberant. It's part of the appeal. Unfortunately, it appears things have gotten out of hand. Yes, some are more prone to bend the rules of morality.
That's murder. I doubt there's anything left to bend. Why did you not tell me immediately? We were chatting about trivial matters for some time.
If I'm completely honest, Sherlock, I've consumed a rather potent cocktail of substances. My attention slips and drifts. But I'm glad I thought to call for you.
You sent me a disguise.
Oh dear, did I? Well, since I found the body, Mr. Manchios has agreed that you can investigate the matter. I promise my mind will behave itself going forward.
All right. Pull yourself together, Werner. What is it about these nights that you were so eager to share with me?
Well, they're not always in the evenings, but they are in the shadows. People gather to test their boundaries in a safe and consensual atmosphere. Often with more stains than your typical crime scene. But that is the point. Who are we to judge?
I suppose that's fair. What about today, then? Was anything different?
Well, I was invited as a special guest. It was supposed to be a time of both divine and carnal pleasures. A scratch for every unconventional itch.
I imagine you're reeling from your shattered expectations.
On the contrary, there is still spectacle, stimulation, and release, merely in a different form. I like to let life entertain me.
Or death. Mr. Manchios is the owner of the manor, yes?
And the host of Cordona's most memorable parties. He promises even the ugliest guest a partner for the night. And for the ones with more unconventional tastes, Mr. Manchios provides other services.
What a caring person.
You cannot begin to imagine.
How did you discover the body? In between guzzles of alcohol?
I was set to perform in a fecundity rite with Fabio and came to inquire further. It was a staged ritual where he was to play the principle of life.
And the rehearsal was unsuccessful?
Who knows? I found him alone on the altar, his blood dripping to the floor.
And then?
Then I called Mr. Manchios. He was panicking, so I told him about you. We left the room and locked the door. Then we were...
filling time?
Waiting for you was stressful. We indulged in some simple comforts. Overindulged, perhaps.
Were you well acquainted with Fabio, the victim?
Everyone knew Fabio, or wanted to. His beauty was the talk of the island. Too handsome to go unnoticed. He was magnetic. Fat wallets fought for the privilege of having him. He offered the pleasures of performance, and more.
What about the fertility ritual? There was something about Fabio being a principle of life.
Fabio was supposed to portray the beauty of life's origin. Flowers, oil... Not this travesty that seems straight out the Inquisition.
So this ritual is not the fertility rite. What was it meant to look like?
It begins with a woman lying naked in a flower bed on the altar. She represents Gaia, the earth. As I cover her in oils, we chant for the principle. As our calls reach a climax, Fabio enters and copulates with her. After he finishes, I stab her with a dagger. That part's just pretend, of course.
But the intercourse is not?
I did not expect you to be such a prude. Are you a virgin? It is nothing to be ashamed of, but it would explain the colour of your cheeks. The fertility rite marks the start of our festivities. The principle of life is beautiful, intimate, essential. It must not be stopped.
Yet it appears that someone did stop it. What about the naked woman? Can you tell me anything about her?
Oh, yes, Matista. She's one of Fabio's compatriots and a performer, too. I haven't seen her today, actually.
When you discovered the body, was the door open?
No, it was locked. Oh, that reminds me. It's a minor detail, but the first time I came to speak to Fabio, I left without entering, having been unable to open the door.
You didn't have the key?
No, I had it. Don't look at me like that. I was mostly sober. I suspect there was a key in the other side of the door, blocking the lock.
That detail may very well be major, Werner. Well done. So you returned later only to find the lock was not blocked?
Correct. After an hour had passed, I tried again and was able to unlock the door. That's when I discovered poor, handsome Fabio.
The police remain unaware of this tragic event?
Some of them may be hiding behind their masks. They conceal many things. But we didn't want the authorities to create more problems. Besides, after a few cocktails, their incompetence will have soared to new heights.
How do you know I even want the case?
I promised you relaxation. If there's one thing I know about you, Sherlock, it's that nothing soothes you more than a good mystery.
So, Sherry, do you have any ideas about the case?
Perhaps. I think I can deduce what happened here. bottle was used as a weapon during a scuffle in the smoking lounge. Then, to ensure no one would interrupt, the murderer locked the door. The unconscious body of the victim was moved to the altar room. Once the body was on the altar, the murderer thrust the dagger into the victim's heart. Symbols were drawn with the blood. The wardrobe was used to hide the bloodied robe from anyone's eyes. The killer washed himself and took a clean robe from the hanger before leaving.
Are you all right? You're on the floor, not moving.
I think I know what happened here. I'm starting to put the pieces together.
Fabio was stabbed.
I see nothing gets past you, Werner. Yes, he was stabbed, but only after being knocked out in the next room and placed here. I do not yet know why.
So, who's responsible?
Well, it was one person working alone, and the murderer has now donned a robe. He or she could be hiding in plain sight. We have lost time, Werner, but your discretion may prove to be a benediction after all. The murderer had to have access to this room. After the crime, he used his own key to lock the door. So, who had the key to the altar?
I'm not sure. As a special guest, I was provided one by Mr. Manchios. He should be able to tell you of any others.
Where can I find him?
Most likely in the main hall, entertaining his guests. He has a mask with golden stars. You can't miss him. But please be discreet. We don't want to risk disturbing the revelry. I know you can untangle this mess. I know you can untangle this mess.
Kurt Manchios, I presume. I'm Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, you must be the one Werner told me about. What a sweet voice you have. It must belong to a handsome young man. Can I call you Sherlock?
As you wish, Mr. Manchios. Mr. Vogel asked me to help you. The body in the altar room requires answers, and quickly. I suspect the murderer to still be here.
What? Lower your voice. I don't want anyone to hear us.
Did you know Fabio well?
People are starting to look at us, Sherlock. Change the subject. I can't believe what happened to him. To me. Such an atrocity. Think what it means for me. A wonderful evening for so many good, influential, and rich people has been ruined. I have betrayed all my promises of exotic delights.
I don't understand. Surely a murder would affect your reputation to a greater extent.
Please, isn't this why you are here? I thought you were a silent magician. Do your tricks and make it go away.
I need to find all those who had the key to the altar room. As far as I know, Mr. Vogel, Fabio, and you had access to it. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes. Also, Matista and Santos.
Santos? Who is that?
Santos Pinchetti, my major domo. In his opinion, at least.
I'd like to speak to Mr. Pinchetti and Matista. Do you have somewhere I might have a private conversation with them?
Of course, of course. Let me think. Matista is entertaining the guests somewhere, and Santos... Oh, yes. He will be busy with the servants. Or the cook. What's that noise? What's going on?
Freeze, filth. You're under arrest.
Look at you. Committed a crime, and now I have to free you, kiss your hand and apologise for the inconvenience.
I did tell you that Mr. Vogel and I were innocent. I emphasised it in my statement.
Your statement? Thanks to some bigwigs who work for the so-called good of the country by releasing fleas like you. Thank God we have Vogel in this letter. Once I get to that goldfish, I'll...
Bigwig? Oh, my wretched brother Mycroft and his long nose.
Wait, did you say Mycroft? Mycroft Holmes? Are you the youngest son of Violet Holmes, rest her soul?
You knew my mother?
Not personally, no. Not exactly. I was working on the paperwork for that case.
Would you happen to remember anything of the events?
Well, I didn't make the inquiry, but I remember seeing some notes. Why?
You must help me. It would mean a great deal to me if you could find any information about that day.
Huh. Got you hooked, right? You know what? Stark and the others think they're the smartest here, thanks to you. Let me get this straight. Are you listening to me, lad?
I'm all ears.
Take this case. Report to me only, to Constable Harvey Oswald. I'll leave everything I have on this table. Find the murderer. Be a real copper. Question the suspects, make them sing, give me something substantial.
And if Mr. Vogel is not a suspect?
If he's innocent, then you can take your favourite degenerate away from here. If you slip or mess with the evidence, then trust me, your brother won't save you from my bludgeon. Meanwhile, I'll be checking the archive for you. If anybody asks, then you're a consulting detective.
Let's make a start then, partner.
I'm glad we managed to get the scoop before the raid.
back on track to solve the case.
I can't go back to prison. Look, I found Werner.
You get over there. Oi!
Good day. Your ticket, please, if you want me to help you.
I'd like to check the evidence from this case.
And who are you?
Oswald sent me. I'm a consulting detective.
His partner, then? Let me see. Ah, a ritual murder. What a bunch of degenerates. Wait a second. I'll bring it to the table. I'm busy. You've already used up your quota of me helping you.
All the keys of the mansion on one golden ring. It's a miracle this ruby hasn't tempted anyone. A heavily perfumed handkerchief with the initials KM in the corner. Not the time for privacy. An emergency kit for boredom. A handcrafted charm that contains hair and nail clippings. Her key to the altar room. That's not for bedtime reading. This Ex Libris belongs to Manchios Library. The book describes a ritual similar to the one performed in the altar room. Werner's personal sketchbook. Thank you, officer.
This area is restricted.
Good day, Mr. Manchios. I am Constable Oswald's partner in this investigation.
Be quick and gentle. Some of your colleagues are untrained boors. Although I don't mind meeting young officers. The new blood here.
If you cooperate in finding Fabio's murderer, there will be no need to meet with the boars again.
That voice. Werner's friend? You're the policeman. What a disappointment.
Only an undercover agent can scour a ditch full of deviants. I am a consulting detective, although I'm capable of replacing the entire department through my consultations.
Sharp-tongued, I like it. May I presume this tongue will get us out of this trouble? I would be so indebted and glad to repay you.
Nothing's changed. I'm looking for the murderer. That's the only way to get us out of trouble.
But it shouldn't take much time, correct? We're all busy, after all.
I need to examine you first. You are so focused on cleanliness that these products are severely damaging your skin.
I would laugh at you. Ha! If only my cheeks didn't hurt. Not exactly. I try to take care of my body. A young man who has yet to confront his own aging couldn't hope to understand.
These chemicals are quite literally melting your face.
Ah, the price of beauty. I'll be fine. I'm sure of it.
Such a methodical man who cares for his body but misses the soap under his fingernails. Are you so impatient, or perhaps even impulsive?
I wouldn't call myself that. Silly little details. If I missed it, it wasn't important. Or rather, it was less important than who or what I was focused on.
What was Fabio like? His personality, his habits? Anything you can tell me?
He was the brightest star of my parties. Young, magnetic, and full of energy. I don't even want to mention his beauty. Otherwise, I'll be sobbing.
An expensive champion, I imagine.
His performances were flawless. He deserved his payment. Do you think he was murdered because of money?
Possibly. What about the other guests? Were they used to opening their wallets as well?
I wouldn't restrict my guests from anything. I'm sure Fabio received a few coins from others for his services.
Mr. Vogel told me a little about your parties, but I would like to know more directly from you.
I'm all yours, Sherlock. You have me arrested and locked here with you alone.
Why did you invite Mr. Vogel as your special guest?
He's a pretty fellow. He's capable of surprising the public. He has a talent for saying words that no one else would wish to either say or hear.
I suppose I can't argue with that.
He is a free addition to the eccentricity of the party, which is fine by me, as long as it enhances my party.
I'd like to know who you usually invite to your parties.
Free minds who are able to leave reality for an evening, who can taste forbidden fruit without prejudice. There is nothing that quite spices up life like these parties, assuming one is old enough and has worked many years for the good of one's country.
Oh, all true labourers, I see.
That's not something I know much about. I've no idea about that.
Do you recognize this book? Could Matista have borrowed it from your library?
She didn't ask me. How ungrateful.
The things described in the book were inspiration for the rituals you performed?
Do you really believe that blood, symbols, and incantations can resurrect the dead? They are just eerie tales with a mix of occultism and voodoo. My rituals are a stage to show some of the forbidden pleasures.
I've read this letter from Fabio. It had no addressee, but it was found in Mr. Vogel's...
Werner? Strange. I didn't think the two of them corresponded.
I'm sure there is some explanation. Would you care to read it?
Call me superstitious, but I don't care to read a letter from a dead man. I've no idea about that. That's not something I know much about. You'd better ask someone else.
Do you have any idea who tipped off the police to raid your mansion, Mr. Man?
Of course. It was you. I could even say you Sherlocked me in here.
A good guess, but the wrong one. The fellow who did that was Mr. Pinchetti, your major domo.
What? Santos? But how could he even know? If he's not the murderer himself. The ungrateful swine. He has dared to besmirch my reputation.
Not a very eloquent choice of words.
What should I call him then, since he's a snitch? Make him talk, Sherlock. I'm quite certain he knows more about the murder than he has told the police. You'd better ask someone else. You'd better ask someone else. That's not something I know much about. You'd better ask someone else. You'd better ask someone else.
You bought an expensive pair of cufflinks for Fabio. Were they his price? Or were they a tip for an exclusive
It was pure business. Fabio escorted me a few times. I was merely showing my gratitude.
This pair cost a small fortune. You must be extremely grateful, then. Tell me more.
You've thrust a knife in an exposed nerve, Sherlock. Yes, he was my protégé and my beacon also. With my experience and his beauty, we could have achieved anything. I had faith in him. I would have made him. I can't wrap my head around such a tragedy at my party.
I'm Sherlock Holmes. I'm helping Constable Oswald. You are Matista, Fabio's friend.
This body, yes, it's Matista. But it's a mere shell that will die someday. Just like Fabio.
Please accept my condolences for your friend.
Thank you.
I'm just here to ask questions and find Fabio's murderer.
It will not bring Fabio back.
Fabio and yourself were slaves, am I correct? You have a similar branding on your body.
Yes. It was a long time ago.
Couldn't help but also notice fresh cuts upon your forearms.
The cuts helped me to forget my past, to cover the old wounds and hide them.
How did you escape?
Something happened. One night the master fell down the stairs. I made him fall, and he died. We ran away that day. We managed to get on a ship and traveled here, to Gordona. Fabio and I started a new life here. It was very hard at first, but it became better with time. Until today.
The bruises on your neck are not self-inflicted. Someone else made them.
Some guests can't contain themselves. They even bite, sometimes. I've nothing to add. I've nothing to add. I've nothing to add. I've nothing to say. I don't know what to say.
This is the letter the police found in Mr. Vogel's pocket. Fabio wrote it. Do you know anything?
I don't. Although I can feel Fabio's energy. It's there, but it refuses to let me analyze it.
This book, The Power of Love, Blood and Mandrake, what do you hope to...
To learn more about the invisible strengths that govern us. Occultism is real. The master who fell that night when Fabio and I escaped, I made him fall. I cast a spell on him and it worked.
Or was it a coincidence?
The universe is rarely so lazy.
If you say so. Do you practice occult rituals?
For protection? For fortune? To wash away the ugliness of the world? Sometimes to survive. I have the gift, and I'm learning to use it better.
Did you use your gift on Fabio?
I only used white magic. Love charms lately. Fabio became so distant. I just wanted him to be with me, but I suppose I'm not as skilled as I thought. I know I can handle the news.
What a bunch of losers.
Werner, are you all right?
Oh, yes. Everything's fine. In fact, it's something of a family reunion. My brother spent quite some time in this place himself.
You should not be here. I told the police everything I knew, but they refused to let you go. They require proof to free you.
Ha! What did you expect? The mighty Sherlock Holmes swans in, tells the officers what to think, and the world obeys?
Of course not. Anyway, I struck a deal with the constable, and I've got a free hand in the investigation. I find proof to solve the case for him. He obtains files about my mother's death for me.
Well done. If one has the power or will and can act, then one must. I wonder, suppose you couldn't get the proof to your truth. Would you tell a lie to the guard that enabled my freedom, knowing my innocence? Would that not be just?
There are lines I will not cross, Werner. I will do my best to secure your release, but with proof, not deception.
Really? How many white lies have you told on this island? Why not for me? Why not another?
That is absurd. I can resolve this without compromises. Do not give up hope.
I don't think I can tell you anything about this. I can't follow you here. I don't think I can tell you anything about this. I can't follow you here. I'm not supposed to know anything about this.
So, the police found a letter from Fabio in your pocket?
I cannot tell if it was truly in my pocket at all. Perhaps it was placed there later.
Well, that is one hypothesis. If it were true, then how did it get there?
No clue. But this night has been rather eccentric. Such a detail could have easily eluded me.
Indeed. Do you recall reading it?
I can't remember that either. But I tend to respect privacy. Reading others' personal notes is not one of my perversities. I don't think I can tell you anything about this. I don't think I can tell you anything about this. I'm not supposed to know anything about this. I don't think I can tell you anything about this. I don't think I can tell you anything about this.
I have learned who told the police about the crime. It was Santos Pinch.
Do I know him?
The major domo of the manor. He cleans up after you?
Well, then he does his job perfectly. All but invisible. I couldn't tell you the first thing about him. The air here is rather refreshing. I'd even recommend that some of my friends visit the place. I know you can untangle this mess.
So much work, so little time.
Have you considered Mr. Santos Pinchetti as a suspect?
The snitch? Have you seen him? I mean, my breath could knock him down. What's so special about him?
As a major domo, he has keys that open all the rooms, including the one to the crime scene. Could have testified only to circumvent suspicion, don't you think? We need to question him.
Right. I'll send our men to fetch him. Stay here. They brought him in, Mr. Holmes. Here's the key to interrogation room number 7. Mr. Pinchetti didn't even resist, our men said.
Thank you.
You can question Mr. Pinchetti in the interrogation room.
I recognize the key from the altar room among these. Mr. Pinchetti, a pleasure to meet you. I'm Sherlock Holmes. I'm helping Constable Oswald.
I've already told him everything I know. I'm only a witness, sir. Everything's in my report.
And I've read it. You forgot to mention that you hold the keys to the room where Fabio was found. I need only to find if the crime was intentional.
But I need to return to my duties.
I doubt the house will fall without you, Mr. Pinchetti. Just be still for a few seconds. You are the major domo of a rich mansion, and you seem barely able to afford decent clothing. You hide, under heavy makeup, a skin disease that might be treated with more onerous but less harmful means. Do you have money troubles?
I do not have a lot of means. The pay is below what you might expect.
But you could easily change your job if your employer does not meet your elementary needs.
One can change his employer, that is true.
And the blood on your shoe. Where does that come from?
I don't actually know. Perhaps from a guest?
Did you know Fabio?
Not personally. He was a frequent guest, and cleaning the mess after his performances was tedious. Mr. Manchios always had a role for him, and mainly the leading one. The parties were always, Fabio-centric?
And Batista? Was she as popular as her partner?
Don't tell her I said this, but I do not think so. Mr. Manchios hired her only because Fabio refused to work without her. Mr. Manchios used to see her as a worker. She was tasked with entertaining the guests, unlike Fabio, who could pick and choose.
Thank you for your cooperation, Mr. Pinchetti. We'll continue.
I know nothing about this. I know nothing about this. Don't expect me to know anything about it. I know nothing about this. Don't expect me to know anything about it. 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 Don't expect me to know anything about it.
Mr. Manchios says that you begged him to be included in the heritage. Isn't that a little extreme, even for a major domo?
He's not only my employer, he's my uncle. And I'm his next of kin. The only one. Mr. Manchios flatly refuses to pay a family member. All I have to do is repay his so-called love. Cleaning up the filth after perverts and decadents. He's imprisoned me. The best I can hope for is a new broom. That's why I wanted to have my part of the inheritance.
Is it that bad? You have a roof above your head, a salary, and the status of a major domo.
For God's sake. I'm forced to dye and stitch my threadbare clothes, and the holes in my shoes are painful. I'm ashamed every time a guest looks at me closely.
Why do you think your uncle treats you this way?
My mother, my uncle's sister, had me illegitimately. She died, and I was given the surname of one of the maids.
But you are entitled to some of the money that belongs to your family.
He thinks not. I was not responsible for my mother's death. I work hard, and he pays me nothing. I feed on the leftovers. While he wastes our estate's property on decadent parties, he paid Fabio handsomely and showered him with expensive gifts for their disgusting relationship. Please let me out. Please let me out.
I don't think I can tell you anything about this.
I have reason to believe that the intended recipient of the incriminating letter may have been Kurt Manshaw.
Well, that makes sense. Too bad I can't remember how I came to possess it. Though I did spend quite some time with Mr. Manchios during the party.
Unfortunately, even with an answer, that may still not be enough to clear you with the police. But fear not, I will persevere.
I hope your attempt to put things straight will make up for...
you being on a bender?
Touché.
Please let me out.
Could Fabio have written this letter to Kurt Manshaw?
Oh. That could be. I never thought Mr. Manchios could make Fabio that angry, though.
What do you mean?
Well, Fabio wanted to disassociate from Mr. Manchios. Clients who are in love are both a blessing and a curse.
But Fabio was here tonight.
Money. In our line of work, we can't afford to turn down clients who pay as well as Kurt Manchios.
Was Fabio afraid of Mr. Manchios?
Not at all. The old toad wouldn't dare to do more than sweet talk and touching. Talk can be forgotten, and touching washed away. I know I can handle the news.
There is undeniable evidence that you were the original recipient of this letter.
What are you talking about? Is it addressed to me?
Your protégé wanted a fresh start, it seems. This is sufficient to charge you.
Me? Hurt my star? Are you insane that you would accuse me of such a thing?
He did not consider himself as yours. Since you deny everything, let's move on. Do you have any idea as to how the letter could have ended up in Mr. Vogel's pocket?
You were the detective. Perhaps he took it from Fabio. Werner was a little high. That's not something I know much about. I've no idea about that. You'd better ask someone else.
I've read the letter about your will. A harsh method of ridiculing Santos. I doubt he will use mustache wax when he wears no mustache to begin.
Where did you get it? Is the slug here? Tell him I shouldn't have to provide for him. He's a grown man who shouldn't sit on his uncle's neck. He conceives himself as my only heir.
And who is he to you?
He's a leech on my aging body. He has only added problems to my life since the death of his mother.
I fail to see why you made him your major domo.
He needed to know his place, so I taught him. I can't wrap my head around such a tragedy at my party.
The murder of Fabio did not have a ritual purpose, Mr. Manchios. It was staged by a man who wished to distract the investigation.
That might be true. That poor girl Matista wouldn't dare to kill the only man who cared for her. So, Santos.
Mr. Pinchetti snatched at the chance to solve his problems.
Ungrateful little scum. Will he be executed?
But what for? He informed the police as to the crime, that was all. He couldn't stage the ritual, but he found the body, I believe.
I can't believe it. Why did Werner do it?
Mr. Vogel. He had no reason, and he won't be a scapegoat as you plan. You put Fabio's letter in his pocket when he was intoxicated, didn't you?
You can't be serious.
We can very often deduce someone's life by their shoes or their fingernails. You are a meticulous person, but this murder was fairly traumatic and filthy. After you stabbed Fabio, you were covered in blood. You panicked and neglected to rinse the soap from under your fingernails. The devil is in the details, Mr. Manchios.
Nonsense. I missed it simply because of the busy schedule of the party.
Of course, a staged murder was certainly not planned. You're at the twilight of your life. You have no partner, you have no children. You had feelings, however, for one man. That was Fabio. You loved him. That is, you wished to own him with money and gifts. But he was also a free mind, was he not? He turned his back on you. Quite unjust. Love, so cruel and painful, and Fabio, with his words and deeds, made you feel the more wretched. So you killed him.
You must surely perceive that my sensitive nature wouldn't allow me to hurt anyone.
You staged the murder as a satanic ritual. It was easy for you, since you were the one who wrote the scenarios for the parties. It was your way of avoiding suspicion. A respectable man in his 60s,
early 60s,
who hosts the cream of Cordona's society, cannot possibly be a murderer. But the guests who behave like animals in his mansion, of course, one of them could have killed Fabio.
I did oversee a few of the rituals, but I did not stage Fabio's death.
The young performer played with your emotions. That was painful to realize. You spent so much time and effort to be with Fabio, but he didn't respond in the way you would have liked. You wanted to be loved, but Fabio shattered your dreams. In the smoking lounge, he teased and mocked you. He wanted you to suffer by offering himself to others. The deception was unbearable. You struck him, and then you staged the ritual. You planted the letter in Vogel's pocket and attempted to set up Matista.
What poppycock? Sherlock, stop this game now.
There is no stop word, Mr. Manchios. Relax and enjoy it. I'll pass the remainder of this case to Constable Oswald. He'll know what to do with you.
I can't believe you dared to accuse me.
I have a name for you. Kurt Manchios.
Is that so? The Master of the Sabbath?
The man himself. Mr. Manchios couldn't stand to lose control over his lover. A deadly revenge that deserves a proper sentence. I have all the evidence to charge him.
A degenerate and a murderer. I'll make a name thanks to that for sure. As for my part, not everything was in place. Perhaps some documents were transferred somewhere else, but I couldn't find a trace of them. Then I remembered. The discarded document drawers where we put the lost papers or the badly labelled ones. Including the crime scene report of Violet Holmes's case. Everything I've found is on the desk here. Take it.
Your persistence has saved me.
Yeah, well, we had a deal after all. Your friend is free then. You can leave.
Good luck, Constable. garden. There's a garden behind our manor. How could I forget? That's where it all happened, where it all went wrong.
Sherry, it looks like you've almost found what you wanted.
Don't forget the file.
Oh, you did it, Sherlock! The case is closed and all rewards belong to the winner. Bravo!
It is merely the triumph of the truth.
Is it? No compromises? No lies? You're happy with your decisions?
It was the best decision I could obtain. The truth must be told in the way it is most acceptable.
You're making progress, Sherlock. I was right to believe in you. By the way, did you get that precious information about your mother? Oh, not that you must.
Yes, I did.
Forgive my intrusion in such a personal matter. I simply worry I'm failing to be of much help to you.
Actually, you were. For some reason, all the archives on the case had disappeared. This was a rare opportunity to obtain the impossible.
Outrageous. Perhaps someone found the truth unpleasant. Society usually rejects those who speak with too much honesty, doesn't it?
A comfortable lie is often preferred to an uncomfortable truth. Still, I believe that the latter should prevail, and I cannot remain silent.
That's quixotism at its best. Your mere truth cannot defeat institutions, systems, and power. Etiquette, religion, marriage, they're all lies told to preserve connections, love, and sanity, and it's all corruptible.
Lies destroy human dignity. How could you make a free decision without any knowledge of the truth?
Are we really free to decide anything in this world, Sherlock?
I take your point. There are some limits on us all, some compromises we must make. Despite my best efforts, we cannot remain entirely objective.
I didn't want to sadden you, Sherlock, only to make you think beyond your boundaries. You're a walking contradiction, Sherlock. You refuse to lie to others, but constantly lie to yourself. How long until the train comes off the track? I cannot look away, but perhaps I should take a few steps back. You're an accident waiting to happen, dear. Until then, I shall bid you adieu.